you called me.
No.
You called me and said no cameras, and I came over. Now you're recording.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll get SOCO to film.
Can we record?
If we want SOCO to film.
Can we record? No. SOCO is a terrorist channel.
No, but you said to me.
Is this a terrorist channel?
You said to me.
This is not a terrorist
To
channel.
me, we talk without any camera. True or false?
What's that?
You said.
Yeah. When I pulled you. No,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're still
I agree.
So now
I agree. Can we film now? Can we film? I'm asking you permission. Okay. I'm going to talk to that lady. Yeah, and then we're going to film it. Do you mind? Do you mind? We're going to walk away from you.
You called me over to have a conversation.
Because she opened a conversation. So we're
I
gonna.
know, but yeah, but let's finish what we were talking about first, and then
Do you hold on a second? We'll ask you a
Wait.
question.
Tell him to wait.
He just
Tell him
wanted,
to wait.
because the thing is, the Prophet ﷺ today was accused to be pedophile by many people.
Yeah, but
listen.
after you had the conversation, because that was my question, because he called me over and said no cameras.
No.
That's why.
He's right. He's right.
So that's
He's
what I'm
right.
saying.
He's
Let's
right.
keep
When
no
I pulled him
cameras.
over, I said no cameras.
When
He's
he
right
goes-
ethically. Now that we're recording, we should ask him. Can we
Yeah,
record?
but I'm saying after
Okay.
you
Record.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
because when you
No, we won't record him. We won't
No,
record
no,
him.
no,
I'm
no.
talking to that lady. I'm talking to that lady.
He wanted
Really here for a debate.
Yeah,
No.
because
This is not a debate.
because
It's a conversation to
because
teach
this one,
people.
we just wanted
To
a
teach people.
discussion, no
Okay.
cameras, no nothing, that's fine.
So you raised the point that by our confession, by our own.
Aisha's narration.
Yes, you said by our standards,
Yeah.
by our standards, that's pedophilia.
Yes.
Okay, I agree with you. If we were to apply,
No, I accept it. I've said to you
okay,
before, it's
no
fine.
problem. You're free to stay here, bro.
Just
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
behind the-
Stay behind the
because
camera.
For me,
Yeah.
we had the agreement. So
Listen.
like.
Yeah, no problem. But I will not speak. I will not speak to you on camera. I will not speak to you.
Don't talk.
I will not speak to you on camera because I don't believe you are
but I'm not
as
gonna
decent
I'm not gonna
as you
respond to that.
think you are.
Yeah, but
No, that's my view.
No,
That's
but-
my view. I'll
Yeah,
tell you what.
but I'm not going to respond.
No,
because
wait.
if he-
In
this
conversation, he's a gentleman. In conversation, I'm saying that in front of his. In conversation, that's why I continued speaking with him. I don't speak to the rest of those, those people. You know why? Because they are very repulsive, very rude, very rash, and I like to have conversations like the one we're having right now. Respectful, dignified. Our tone has to be non-aggressive. This is the kind of conversations I like, where people can actually learn, where they can be educated. And his tone is like that. I like his tone. But when I see him, when I'm not in the park, doing propaganda against me as a person, I see two faces.
I haven't seen it, so
Well,
I can't
when
comment on it.
amazingly he asks questions about me when I'm absent from the park, right?
Oh, so it wasn't outside of the park.
No, inside the park. So coming back to our conversation about Aishah being 9 and Prophet having intercourse with her
Yes, and you
as
agree
his wife.
that is
I
totally
agree.
classified.
I accept.
Yes.
Aisha's age was 9 when
yeah.
Prophet Muhammad.
She said 8.
Okay, no.
I must have read a different.
My touch. Yes, I accept. This is. It's in our
Can't
reports.
touch me.
We don't have no problem with that.
No, you have a glove on. I can touch you. Here.
Hey, I did it earlier in
Is
the
this a
morning.
glove? It's a glove, not no, because cloth. Okay,
No, because we're just talking about Aisha.
because there's a cloth between.
Accept this new wife.
No, yeah, sure, you're right. Actually, I shouldn't have done that.
well, I forgive you.
Religiously, because he's right. He is.
If you're a married man, Christianity.
No. This is touching any non-related women, female.
Where does
Yeah.
it say so in the Quran?
It's not in the Quran. It's in the Hadith. It's in the Hadith. No, we accept
Not
Hadith.
all hadith are accepted.
No.
are they?
To us,
We accepted that.
It's Sahih. And
Yeah.
does Shia, they take it as Sahih as well?
no. The
They can shake
Shias
hands
have a completely different system, and we don't accept the system.
No, I get that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying some hadiths are kind of almost universal and some
Yeah,
are.
that's,
like,
Now, coming to our point, you said you are someone who follows the English system and English law.
yeah,
Right?
Below God's law, but yeah.
Okay. Now, below God's law, an English law is acceptable to you.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, unless there are any new ones that say I have to call you she if you tell me you're a toaster.
Well,
and all that nonsense. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But
Now,
I mean,
now you are English, right?
Yes.
Okay.
British.
English.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the issue here I want to discuss is that your ancestors, before the year 1900,
Yes.
were all getting married to girls as young as 7,
Okay.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, depending on situations and cases. Okay? And this was directly stipulated in the law.
Can I just
Such bonds, very quickly, let me finish. Such bonds were directly supported by the law. They were legal bonds.
So it's a betrothal rather than a
marriage.
Okay.
Now, where
were
do
they consummated, these marriages?
Yes. Where do I get this from? What is the title? You read it.
The law, commentaries on the laws of England in
4 books.
In 4 books
By
by Sir William Blackstone, Esquire.
Okay.
KST.
Abridged and adapted to the present state of the law.
Yes.
Present state of the
And
law.
it's published in
Published
around...
in 1867.
Yes. Okay.
Which is about 150 years ago.
19th century.
About 150 years ago.
152.
Laws of England.
Yes.
And this is the current law.
The laws of Britain are here at the moment, but yeah, it's stuff about Aishah.
Yeah. I've already accepted
I'm
it.
kind of-
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm not even arguing
Yeah.
about that, right? Now that you are an English lady,
Yes.
you already made a point that I accept God's law and the law of England.
Yes.
I'm
And
showing
where
you.
they contradict,
I'm
I obviously accept
okay.
God's law as
Okay,
supreme.
let's talk about God's law as well in a
Because
minute.
if I was
In
told
a
by
minute.
British
Let me
law-
show you first the English law in the 19th
So you
century.
can have a couple of minutes and then I can answer because I feel like I'm
It's a quick,
watching
it's a
speech.
conversation so
I've
that
got
you
a
can come back on
question,
it. Yeah. So this is William Blackstone's commentaries on the English law, adapted to the present state of the law in 1867.
Yes.
So 1867, this was the standing law.
Yes.
On page number 110, it clearly states. You read it.
Which part? A female also
At 7.
7 years of age may be betrothed or given in marriage. At 9 is entitled to Dawah, not as in Dawah, but as in Dawah. At 12 is at years of maturity and may consent or disagree to marriage. So it's drawing a distinction in my understanding of that because, so it's drawing a distinction. At 12 you can consent to a marriage proposal or presumably reject
But
it.
at
Hold
7
on.
yeah.
At 7 I think it was, you can be betrothed or given in marriage.
Yes.
And at the other age in between was
9.
a dowry. You're entitled to money,
Yeah.
financial recompense for your
So-
partner.
so-
My question is, my only question at the moment is...
Before you ask question, let me clarify this quickly.
Go on.
So at 7, you can be given in marriage. Number 1.
Yes.
At 9, dowry has to be given to you by the husband.
Yes.
Okay. At 12,
You can
you can
consent
now
yourself.
either stay in the marriage,
Yes.
which has already been done,
No. It's saying 12-year-old girls can consent to marriage. So they're-
or consent to or disagree
Exactly,
to
to
marriage. Okay.
So not the one they're already in, because divorce was frowned upon heavily by the church. It means a 12-year-old, if you approach them, can say, I don't want to marry you. So they clearly
No, the
lost
marriage
their
is done.
best years at
The
7.
marriage is done.
No.
Okay,
This-
suppose we're talking about the 7 years old now.
Yeah, 7. Go for the 7.
It says-
But those 12-year-olds can reject
Okay.
the marriage.
Okay.
So they wouldn't
The
get
question
married
is,
and
in
reject it.
1867, if
Betrothal.
an Englishman,
Yes.
a grown Englishman,
Yep.
40, 50, 60, whatever the age, married a 7 years old, according to the English law, would that marriage be illegal? According to this?
No, obviously not. It's in the law.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so before we jump to the Prophet of Islam in the 7th century,
can I ask my
wait,
question?
this is wait. Well, let me finish my point.
I'm in the discussion.
No, do you mind? I'm having a conversation with this lady. You want to talk to me? I'll talk to you after I'm finished with her. So now you can ask your question.
Okay, so I guess my thing is that whenever I have tried to discuss the underage in modern sense of Aisha at the time of her marriage to an
By the way, were
older-
you aware of this law in 1867?
I didn't know the specifics, but I knew that in the Victorian times and prior to that, the age was much lower and the age of menstruation was much higher. So there was a higher time between marriage and menstruation and childbirth, and there was a lot of death due to childbirth, so I knew that. But my point, I guess, is whenever and it's not my main thing to polemicise against Islam, because I believe there are many other things that contradict the Bible.
Let's stick to this one,
No,
because this is
I
one of the
am
main
you've
ones.
spoken for a very
Christian,
long time,
yeah.
very long time. So I guess that whenever I do ask people about the age and they agree that it's modernly considered as paedophilia or at least underage marriage, are you looking at me? Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
I'm
there's commotions happening. Leave it.
I guess my point is probably Ali Dawah. He hates attention. He really does. He's so shy. I think it's that people then bring to me, well, did you know in Europe there was a 7-year-old girl who got married? I hope not. Or in Britain, a 7-year-old could get married. And my point is, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Sure.
I can condemn my own law under God's law. And in the
I
Torah,
accept
there are
that.
instances
That's a
of
very good
young
point.
marriage.
You've raised a very good point. That 2 wrongs cannot
Do you
make.
have children? Can I ask
I do,
a
of
personal
course.
question? Are they daughters?
Yes.
Okay, so then I hope that as parents we can agree that when your child was 7 and mine,
let me
I
clarify
wouldn't
something
care
very
what
quickly.
the law was.
I would never give my daughter in marriage, even at 15.
Yes.
Never.
Hallelujah.
I'll tell you why.
I know
No,
why.
hallelujah. Wait.
Would you have done it
Hold the hallelujah for now. Wait. Sorry?
Would you have done it 1400 years ago?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait. No. In the 7th century, in the 19th century, forget about the 7th century. In England, in the 19th century, if I was a Victorian gentleman walking around with my hat and with a stick in my hand,
I can just see it now.
Yeah. If my daughter was
Dashing.
12 and she was physically ready for an intercourse, for a mature.
Victorian women didn't menstruate until 18 to 21.
Okay, wait. Well, how do we know that? How do we know that?
Late.
No. How do we know that?
By
Who determines
medical
it?
journals of the time.
No.
Yes.
We
The
have.
same way you showed me the 1867
Okay,
law,
wait.
I can show you medical
Okay.
journals.
Can I
And
say
NHS.
Can I say
NHS
something?
wasn't around.
Of course, it wasn't around. I know it wasn't around. I'm showing you today NHS.
No, today it's not the case.
Can I bring up an
Wait.
issue, though?
Today, the research and statistics based upon that research are far more reliable than they were in the Victorian period. Because during the Victorian period, they had very few cases to study. Right? They didn't go to every single household asking men and.
Only rich people had a doctor.
Guys,
My reaction was
I'm
you
sorry,
talk-
bro. I'm trying to have a conversation.
My reaction was to you talking about a
Now-
12-year-old girl. That's why I reacted.
Okay, now let's go step by step, brother. You keep having conversations on top of my conversation. Do you mind taking him away because we're having a conversation?
Carry on, this is speaker's corner. I can
Okay,
talk.
yeah, of course.
You won't let me
But you're
get
just
in on you.
no. Okay, can you
stay
stay there?
there.
We'll move. Okay, you
You
move.
have your own conversation.
Why the recording?
Okay.
This is speaker's corner.
Then please.
Because he has a microphone.
Then
so it's
yeah,
gonna be
because
a-
trying to have a so that we can all learn.
Coming in the conversation.
Yeah.
No,
No.
we just
You don't want to come in this
No,
conversation. You don't want
because
to
I'm
come
talking to this lady,
So you don't want to
and
talk
you
to
can
me.
wait to talk to me. I'll talk to you.
I want to talk to you on the same subject. That's what I want.
No problem. You can wait until we finish, then I can talk to you. Okay, be a gentleman. Check and hold this.
He may be a good
Okay,
guy, but he's
now,
not silly mouth.
okay, now coming back to our topic. This issue is to do with morality, social realities,
Yes.
okay, and how people perceived relationships, right? Today,
also
let me
about what
finish.
God deems
Let me
as
finish. Let me
holy
finish. Let me finish.
matrimony.
Let me finish. Today, our perception of relationships, our norms have changed.
Of course.
Okay,
This and
what was
recognize
normal in the
that
what was
roles are not
what was
particularly
normal
based on sex.
what was normal in the 19th century in Britain
Yep.
is not normal anymore today in
course.
Britain.
Yes.
Okay, what was normal in the 7th century in Arabia is not normal today.
Are you
In
sure?
100%, yes.
So the way the life of the Mohammed of the Prophet of Islam
Not be
isn't
literate.
Okay,
replicated as a
let me clarify
in
further.
Arabia.
In Victorian England, marrying at 10 years old was normal. I'm claiming
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
Okay, today it is not normal.
That's correct.
Okay, now the norm of today.
Mary was married at 12.
No, these lame,
doesn't
you know,
say so in the
sorry, please, ignore the digressions, please. I don't use these arguments,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
I get straight to the crux,
Please.
okay? The crux is, the norm of today is not the
vastly
norm of
different.
the 19th century
Yes.
Britain.
Or the preceding
Or
centuries,
the
yeah.
preceding centuries. Thank you very much. Right. Now, to use the norm of today to judge the Victorians is called anachronism in history. Okay, anachronism is
Yes.
injustice.
That's what
Injustice. Meaning today we are driving cars around, we are flying around in jets, and to expect that from the Victorians, to say Victorians are dumb and thick and they were useless because they didn't have planes, this is called anachronism. Because technology, it took them a while to develop to that stage where they could invent planes and machines and all that. Okay, now this was a crude example. I want to get to the social side of it. Socially, marrying younger girls in Victorian Britain, in Africa, in Asia, in Arabia was perfectly
Globally.
normal.
Yep.
No eyebrows were raised. In fact,
They were
King
probably
Richard
painted on.
II,
Yep.
King Richard II, believe it or not, I was reading this today, was 29 years old when he married 8 years old Eleanor, the daughter of the King of
I
France.
told you earlier that polemicists,
Of course. Wait. Now, two wrongs don't make a right.
They
Okay,
really don't.
okay. Now, what is wrong today to you was perfectly right to people, to humans all around the world. I'm talking about over 1 billion humans.
Yeah.
Over 1 billion was perfectly normal. Okay. Now that if you turn around and say,
doesn't mean holy. We
Okay.
do agree on that.
Okay.
Because
Now,
it's
that's-
normal
that's-
to have sex outside of marriage. It's
Wait.
normal to curse. It's
No.
normal.
Let me
to
finish.
No,
Let
as
me
a Muslim,
finish.
You must agree with me as a
Of
Christian.
of course, I agree with
So
you.
do you see what I'm saying?
Because our norms have changed today.
Yep.
I, as a Muslim, would never get my daughters married that young. Even as a Muslim, to me, that's abnormal. If I saw a 10 years old, 11 years old girl married in
a
my family to
50-year-old
someone,
man.
or even 20 years old man for that
yes.
matter, it doesn't matter, 50 or 20.
Yep.
Okay? Age is just a number, as they say, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
not if
So
you're
is it okay for a 16 or 18 years old girl, a model from London, to get married to a Russian oligarch when he's
now
60?
can I answer
Wait.
you? Please let me answer you. I know it was a rhetorical
She can't
narrative.
legally.
Wait.
Let me just answer you. So
No, wait,
legally
wait.
and socially
Yeah.
she
Wait.
can.
Yes.
Morally,
I'm saying.
I would question that
Okay.
because I would say she wants his money. And thirdly, theocratically is what we're
Okay.
trying to
No,
discuss.
no,
what
no one,
God thinks.
no one cares about what you think of a particular marriage. The point is, an 18 years old model from London marrying a Russian oligarch who is 65 years old for money, for his physique, or for maybe something
Yeah.
he's showing in secret or something. Yeah, whatever. You are not in the position to criticize her because
Because it's legal.
she has done something which is deemed legal or potentially normal for people to do. But in the 7th century or in the 19th century, what happened between the 7th century and the 19th century, you are not in the position to condemn the entirety of humanity.
But God is. Are we agreed on that?
Yes.
So
Now come to
can I
God.
jump in?
Now,
No, 'cause
okay.
you're still
Okay, you want to
speaking.
jump in? No
So
problem.
my point
Yeah,
is this
yeah.
then. The Quran was given as the perfect revelation from God to those Arab people at that time.
Yes.
For them to maybe spread it like by whichever means.
Absolutely.
Yes. So within that book,
Yes.
any verses that are not abrogated are still in effect today, even though today we disagree
Applicable.
with 12-year-olds.
Applicable.
Yes,
Exactly.
no, if they're not abrogated, they're
No, they
still,
are.
yeah,
Yes.
they still are supreme and the word of God, and they must be above even Sharia judges. They must be above any judge because he is the only righteous judge. Okay, so he gives his word to Mohammed through Jibril. Mohammed then gets somebody to, collect them all together after the 20-something years, and he writes them down. And within those verses,
No, he didn't write them down.
Somebody wrote them down. Got
Yeah,
somebody.
his
to write them down.
companions. It was
in his lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made a
It was
big
done in
pen
his
a head
lifetime,
and he
yes.
said it. Yeah.
Not 2 years.
So my point is then that when you come to 65:4, which speaks about divorcing a woman
Mm-hmm.
before she has menstruated. So like I mentioned, in all fairness, in the Victorian times, women didn't menstruate until they were 21. So it could have been a 20-and-a-half-year-old.
Very good point, yes.
But God is
I'm
the
glad
God-
you raised this question,
Yes,
yeah.
but God is the God of eternal justice
Sure.
and eternal
Sure.
mercy, and He doesn't care
Right.
what is normal. So
Okay.
in our society, I would say as a Christian that divorce, abortion, extramarital affairs, swearing, cursing,
Timeless.
fighting, stabbing each other, it's just wrong in God's eyes and in society's
Divorce
eyes.
as well?
To some, divorce, of course, is wrong in
So
God's
in the
eyes,
21st century-
unless it's an adulterous.
Well, let
unless
the lady
it's
finish.
adultery or the person leaves the faith that they were
21st
in.
century you can't divorce.
No, God thinks so.
No, carry on. I understood the point.
Does your God?
Oh, let me come back to
Yeah,
that. Let me
your
come
God.
back.
So
We allow divorce,
Allah
that
has
is
got
fine.
reasons, but okay. So leaving divorce out, abortion and murder are
and
wrong
divorce.
between us.
I agree.
Yes. So what I'm saying is God is outside of time. He's outside of Hollywood and the mass media and all of these
Okay.
influences that tell us it's okay to dishonor our parents and to treat each other like rubbish because we're of different faiths. So for all I understand your arguments and I appreciate them, they don't answer my question of why God sanctions his perfect example to mankind to do something that you wouldn't do.
That's right.
So therefore your 21st century your upbringing and your father disappeared.
So what's your
brought you
point?
to the point that you've got a better morality than a guy who was God's perfect example.
So what's your point?
That is my point.
The
You
point is
seem
that
to me to have
that
better
his
morality.
example marrying a younger woman
Is-
still stands to this
Your
day.
example
No.
to me is better.
Your example is better than yours.
Right.
You said I'd never
Thank you.
let my
Thank you
daughter
very
do
that
that.
question. Now you see, we look at our prophet holistically. We don't just
Right.
look at
Oh, of
him
course,
no. We don't look at his one example
That's what he said.
and then act upon it. throughout our lives or throughout ages.
The
Okay,
sunnah is
what we
to aspire to his
the
lifestyle.
absolutely to look at his lifestyle holistically, what he did at certain times.
In isolation.
Yes.
What he said at a certain
Yes,
time, how he treated
exactly.
a certain
What he might have said at a point. What he said at a point may not be applicable to all people. We have plenty of examples where he gave specific rulings for specific people, only for those people at that time, right? Now, how do we know that? By looking at the Sunnah. Now, you're teaching.
Talaq is not one of those specifics.
But-
It's one of those generalized for all men who want to go.
So, what's your point from
divorce.
talaq?
My
women
point is
also
that
can
if, I'm so sorry.
just
So how is it
I'm
applicable
talking
to the young
because we're
to
talking
young
about
marriages?
younger ladies,
Yes.
Younger girls,
Yes.
and we're talking about those who have not menstruated.
Yes.
So that's the only reason I brought it in, because it's a command
Okay.
from God and
Okay.
not a societal.
Okay. So
norm,
how is
like you were discussing.
how is menstruation applicable to our question?
Okay, so because you do like to interrupt, because menstruation implies maturity or otherwise, and we
No.
agreed. We agreed.
No.
You said if a girl at 12, if you said if a girl is of 12 is physically ready, and then I interrupted you, unfortunately. But my point is that obviously a woman who's no longer menstruating, we can definitely say is a mature menopausal.
No, not necessarily.
No
because
longer
that verse
menstruating.
applies to
not
applies
the
to
younger ones, the
girls
older ones.
girls who haven't yet menstruated.
I'm saying the first case, the first category is post-menopausal, the women who no longer menstruate.
Older women.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's your tafsir. As we can all agree, that's obviously a post-menopausal woman, an older lady who no longer can have.
So
children.
what's your point from
so
that?
My point is the the premenstrual children.
Yes.
Ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
say
yeah,
that in a societal example, those 7-year-olds in the British law would have been premenstrual for sure.
Okay.
They wouldn't have started their periods.
How,
and I believe
how,
that's
how
the
do we
next
know
one.
that?
Because
You're
they
making a
said-
claim now.
No, because women in the Victorian age didn't menstruate till far
But
later.
Victorian law,
You brought it up.
the Victorian law did not mention menstrual cycles in the law. It mentions age, and this is why this guys. Okay, no, you repeatedly you do this. You're doing this repeatedly.
Why don't you let me get into
This is why we're trying to move. Wait. No. There are three people
You
here.
don't want to talk to me?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
No.
we
Okay.
don't
Not now. Not now. Not now.
Listen.
Yeah. That's easier. That's better. Now, so that we can
So that's
continue.
The only reason I bring up menstruation is
Okay.
because Allah mentions
Okay.
menstruation.
Yes. Now, this is what I'm saying. Islam is better than the Victorian law. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Why? Islam is more comprehensive. The directions in Islam, the instructions in Islam when it comes to marriage are more comprehensive, right? You cannot marry a girl if she is not physically able to have intercourse. It is absolutely forbidden in Islam. Let me finish. How do we know that? The Prophet himself taught us that. His Sunnah taught us that. From whatever the Prophet did is from Allah. We believe it's from Allah. It's from revelation. Okay. No. Wait.
There's one example.
Very quickly.
There's one example.
Very quickly.
For example, nowadays in the law here, it allows the women, by the permission of the parents, to marry at the age of 16. The English
Yes,
law.
yes.
It's permissible here. What about if she didn't have menstruation yet?
Yes.
Some women, they didn't have until the age of 20.
Victorian
What's the meaning?
times,
No,
yes.
I'm talking about now.
Now,
Victorian
today.
times.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why here they look holistically. Here the law allows her to marry even if she didn't have the menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Why? Because they believe
At
she
16
is
she is mentally
and
capable.
physically capable.
At 7,
that's-
no one believes
so,
that.
So that's why it says here, at the age of 7, the Prophet ﷺ, he married her at the age of 7, and he had to wait for
6,
3 years. For 3 years, at the age of 6, yeah? And then he had to wait for 3 years.
yes.
They didn't consummate the marriage until she was 9.
8,
Why?
9.
Here in some other narration, which I don't know if you read it or not, that she said about herself when she had her cycle. She said about herself when she was ready, the Prophet ﷺ married her. And not just that, it was something common practice. It was there.
And she says
There-
I will tell you
Therefore, it
something.
wasn't
I will tell you
from God,
something.
Wait.
I will
because
tell you
before
something.
Mohammed.
No.
I will tell you something.
If it was a communal
I will tell you
practice,
something.
it was before
I
Mohammed.
will tell you something. Is example like I said with my grandmother, my own grandmother, the mother of my father. She was married at the age of 10 herself.
10.
Yeah, in Jordan. And she said she was already late because all her generation were already married. She gave birth to my father when she was at the age of 11. So she was ready to be married at that age. And she said it was common.
It would be illegal today in
was
Jordan.
when you're
It would be
11.
illegal today.
Today it's illegal in Jordan.
Yes.
But the point is, at that time, People, they used to look, they used to see if she is capable.
And I'll tell you.
Simple as that.
I'll tell you.
My quick point is at 6 years old, my daughter thought that something from Peppa Pig
Wait.
lived in the side of the sofa.
Okay.
She was
Now
a
that's
baby.
let me come back to the Sheikh.
Of course.
We can't compare
My-
with the children
I asked,
today.
Wait,
I
yes,
asked my
wait.
grandmother, I asked her the same question. She said, oh, but you were a child, you were this, you were that. She said she started helping in the housework
Yeah, no,
when
that's
she was at the
fair
age of
enough.
7. At the
Yeah,
age of
yeah.
7,
But
she
at
was
6
properly,
years old.
she was
You're
properly,
not understanding the question.
fully able
There
to
is no
cook.
question.
You're not understanding
Why
the
do you have to
question.
keep interrupting?
Let her explain her question. She's irritated by you for some reason.
Because he's like
We're
quite
talking
immature.
about a doubt that
I'm
David would
speaking to
brought
a
is the
gentleman.
following.
Yeah.
Ustad, she's saying in the Quran Allah says the menstruation
It's relevant.
The iddah period for a
I know what
divorce.
I know exactly what she's saying. I know exactly what she's saying, Ali.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, Ustad, she's saying, how does a girl that's not menstruating have the iddah period? Therefore, your
And I
Quran is
explained to her just now that no, okay, no, she didn't say that, by the way, but I understand your question.
I'm
That
saying
now
the
now
context is
now
relevant
it's clear.
to
Now it's clear. The Quran is perfectly valid when it makes that point that there are certain girls
Yes.
who do not menstruate until very late.
Yes.
So Quran is talking about them as well, as well as those women who menstruate,
Of course.
who stop menstruating when.
older ladies,
So the
yeah,
Quran
of
has
course.
nothing to say about children marrying or older women marrying. It's talking purely about menstruation. Menstrual cycles can vary from place to place, from people to people, from person to person. So Quran is very complex. Okay, so these Islamophobes, these Christian missionaries.
So we're going to ad hominems of
No. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying
general.
gender. I'm talking about other people.
Can I give you an example between the Prophet's
Wait.
marriage to Aisha?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
It's
calling a
better-
spade a spade?
The problem
They are being
is.
Islamophobic and we call them Islamophobic.
Nowadays, you may have
Can I give you an example?
Let's have a decent conversation.
Can I
Yeah.
give you an
Yeah.
example?
One by
that
one,
fits-
very quickly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to connect this ayah to the Prophet's marriage to Aisha.
Yeah.
Okay, the Prophet married Aisha at 6. Okay, they were married.
Betrothal at 6.
One second, betrothal,
Yeah.
yeah. Aisha wasn't menstruating.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, she was not.
She wasn't menstruating.
No.
Yeah. Okay. What if the Prophet decided to divorce her before consummating? This will apply to this ayah.
Yes.
She was not menstruating.
Yeah.
A marriage took place, and a divorce took place, and the iddah period is 3 months.
Fascinating.
Okay.
So what were you saying?
Okay. So now coming back to our issue. Okay. To use the term, for example, something that is seen as a crime today was not a crime for all of humanity pre-19th century. All humans, I'm saying all of them,
that, but we
all
talk about
humans.
God's
Okay,
morality.
now God's morality.
But my quick
Okay,
point
coming
is-
to God's morality now, very quickly.
So you can
Yeah,
answer it.
yeah,
My
yeah.
quick point is now that medicine or medical science has now deemed that a girl of 7 years old is not physically developed, that she may have a grown man having physical intercourse with her, and
I agree with
and
science.
it not affect
I
her
agree with
uterus
science.
and her development.
I agree with medical science.
Therefore,
Yeah.
when the Prophet and his perfect
He didn't marry her
example-
7.
She was
He didn't
6.
marry her 7.
She was 6.
6, marry the contract.
Yeah, all
The
right, the 6 at 9.
consummation.
Okay, the consummation
When
at
when
9,
they
8,
when the
9.
parents yeah, consummation was at 9 because it's very clear. It's very clear.
I read 8 in
Where
brackets
is it?
9
Can you
from
show me,
Aisha. No,
please?
it's my tobacco.
Okay.
I can't read anything except
So
for...
it's-
In Bukhari, it clearly states that betrothal took place
My
at
point
6,
is if
and this was perfect.
If a doctor would not advise you, if you said, I want to give my 9-year-old in marriage, the doctor would
I
say,
wouldn't.
No, I know you wouldn't.
Even
And
if
I
the doctor
really
did, you
like
wouldn't.
if you'd
Comparison.
stop.
First comparison.
But look,
1400 years ago and today.
It's an
Let me yeah.
what
yeah.
I'm saying...
Pt7.
I think we both agree on this.
We are.
We
We're not
agree.
disagreeing.
We are agreeing on every single thing almost. Yeah.
What I'm saying...
Wait, Ali, wait, calm down.
What I'm saying, it
Yeah.
doesn't like
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that if medicine has come along and deemed that children, probably under 16, so our laws agree with
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
are not physically ready,
Yeah.
maybe you might marry her and not have sex until she's 21, whatever. The point is that still the perfect example for mankind has had a marriage which
Yes.
wouldn't have benefited Aisha physically
Right.
in that sexual
Okay, now let me
intimacy.
clarify my position. I, as a Muslim living in the 21st century, have a
Disagree
huge,
with
not underage,
Under our age, 16.
under our norms.
Yes.
If anything goes against our norms today, we are not supposed to be doing it.
thank you very much
No,
for
I'll
saying
tell
that.
you where this comes from. From the same model we have been talking about so far, Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the one who taught us to be wary of the place time and the
respect
people
law of the land where
to
you
respect
are.
the norms. What we
Yes.
call urf or maslaha and mafsada. We have concepts in Islam, the pros and cons of any action in any given time with any given people. For example, how do we know this from the Prophet? The Prophet himself, he wanted to do certain things that were legal and potentially necessary for him to do, but he abstained. He abstained.
You mean that God would permit it, but it wasn't
God
normal way
God
of
had
life?
permitted those things. Okay. Even recommended.
Yeah.
Even
God
recommended.
recommended it.
No, because the Prophet wanted to do something, and he abstained.
backed him up.
Yeah, he abstained to avoid controversy. For example, the door of the Kaaba. If you look at the Kaaba,
seen it,
yeah,
Not in
it's
person,
about
obviously.
7 feet tall. It's
Yeah, I
high.
didn't
Sorry,
realise
7
that.
feet high. The Prophet wanted to bring it down to the to ground, to level it with ground, right?
Oh, well, like dig a hole and put
No,
it
no.
inside.
Bring the building down completely,
demolish it.
completely.
It's like about.
Yes, demolish it and rebuild
The
it.
whole building
And
Yeah,
rebuild
it
it.
did happen,
Rebuild
didn't
it.
it?
No.
This
It
century.
happened before his
Yeah.
his prophethood. Now, he said to Aishah, his own wife, the same person we're talking about, Aishah, if it was not for your people, I would have brought the door of the Kaaba down.
Whose
But
people was she? Abu
Aisha,
Bakr?
Quraysh, it was a figure of
Quraysh.
speech.
People
It was a
also.
figure of speech
right,
in the Arabic language. Her people were his people,
Once
but
they were
he wanted to emphasize the point to Aisha that if it was not for your people, I would bring the door of the Kaaba down. In other words,
So he
he
said
wanted to
people
do
are
something.
faithful and-
He wanted to do something. He avoided it. He abstained from it to avoid the controversy. From this action, we learn from the Prophet that if something has become controversial,
enmity.
yes, if something has become controversial, it is no longer the norm. People don't believe in it. People don't like, and it's not an obligation in Islam. It's not obligatory. We don't have to do it. We can completely abstain.